How cool is that?
So cool.
How crazy is that? I think we could probably get him to where, if we keep bringing apples and stuff out here, I bet we can get him to where he's our best buddy.
Yeah.
It's those two crazies over there that are...
I'm just afraid of this.
You gotta let me scratch it. Easy. We have now had the fallow deer up here at Red Poppy Ranch for a little over 6 months. And at the moment I need to get some testing done, but I need to do it in a way where the deer are not going to be in danger of getting hurt. Which means I need to make some improvements to the smaller catch pen, and the main goal is I need to be able to isolate the deer from each other, test them, and do all of this without endangering the deer and endangering myself or anybody else that happens to be working with them. So step one is I don't want them to be able to see the outside world from inside this pen. I bought this first 6-foot by 50-foot shade screen off the internet, but the quality just wasn't high enough. And I'm pretty sure this isn't going to last as long as I want it to, so I would end up going down to one of the big box stores and picking up 2 more different colored but higher quality shade screens. And by keeping the deer from seeing what's going on the outside world, they're less likely to run into the fence and ultimately get hurt. Last year, in the process of transporting one of the deer up here to our place, the deer would get fatally injured from running into the fences, and we don't want this to happen ever again.
Those potatoes are good.
Hungryroot sends you healthy, fresh, high-quality groceries personalized just for you.
Everything from Hungryroot follows a simple standard. It's got to taste good, be quick to make, and contain whole, trusted ingredients.
Hungryroot is the easiest way to eat healthy. Take a fun short quiz about what you like to eat if you have dietary needs, and then they will give you recommendations of delicious recipes. The recipes were so easy to make, they hardly took me any time at all. The best part about them is the kids loved them, and I think Heath approved too.
Yeah, it was very good, and it was clearly high-quality ingredients. They've got fresh produce, high-quality meat and seafood, healthy snacks, smoothies, sweets, kid snacks, vitamins, and supplements, and much, much more. The first 100 people to use our code RedPoppyRanch40 will get 40% off their first order at Hungryroot.
Use the link in the description or scan the QR code and use the code RedPoppyRanch40 to get 40% off.
Thank you, Hungryroot. We loved it. I need to build some lightweight fencing panels that can be used to push the deer around and ultimately catch them in the smaller pen. And rather than buying them, I'm going to build them from scratch. So using galvanized panels and some 3/4 pipe, they will be plenty heavy duty enough for the deer. If I had to guess, I would say there are more people getting out of the fallow deer business than there are getting into it, simply because it's getting harder and harder to own the deer. Most states are now requiring some sort of testing, and if you don't have the right setup, the deer in general can simply be hard to manage. I believe that every one of our does are pregnant at the moment, which means in the fall we could have as many as another 12 baby deer running around. And at some point this feeder's not going to be big enough. Ruby. No, honey, you gotta get back. Come on. So on top of making this feeder bigger and taller, I need to make some changes to the feeder to make it safer. I don't know this for sure, but the little white doe that I like so much, at some point over the last 6 months, tore out her ear tag. Now this doesn't happen all the time, but because of how jumpy and jerky the deer are, it actually happens fairly often. And this is why the deer are required to have 3 different ear tags. So to make this feeder more safe for the deer and to remove any potential points where an ear tag could get hung up, I'm going to put expanded metal on the ends of it, and this will also prevent the deer from wasting the hay, so this is good. Well, me and the buck are getting along pretty good, and he'll eat just about anything out of my hand, but it does take more work to get the does to eat out of my hand. But slowly over the last 6 months, they're starting to trust me. So rather than buying brand new pipe and spending hundreds of dollars on steel, I spent $30 on some scrap And I'll have to do a little scabbing, but I'm sure I can make it work. As far as the deer are concerned, I think I'm in a little bit too deep to quit now, so I might as well do it the best that I can. And part of that comes down to how I can feed them efficiently without wasting any more hay than the deer like to waste. Well, at this exact moment, Cedar is back east with our oldest son, Rhett, as he's graduating from basic training. It's beautiful. So I call this little guy Bucky, and he is in the middle of getting his antlers for the first time, and clearly he's having some fun with it. Well, using nothing more than pig fencing and some 3/4 inch galvanized conduit, I would end up having about 40 bucks in each one of these panels. So using the materials that I had, I was able to build 3 4x8 panels, 1 4x4 panel, and 2 2x4 panels, which should be exactly what I need. Well, no matter what I'm doing, the dogs still insist on me taking time for their daily ride. The requirements to own fallow deer in the state that I live in means that I have to have 2 separate pens where I can isolate the deer from the other deer if needed. But what I've learned over the last 6 months is there's a lot more I can do to try and prevent any accidents from happening when the deer happen to be in this small pen. And that starts with these privacy screens. Well, the deer are very curious by nature, and it doesn't take them long to wander into the small pen and see what they can find to eat. So after building these galvanized panels and picking up some zip ties and some shade screen, I feel much better about my situation here when it comes to safely trapping these deer. All right, now that this thing is done, I just need to see how effective it is. I need to see how excited the deer get. I need to see how easily I can get them into the trap. I just want to try this out before I have the veterinarian come up and do all this testing that I need to get done. So here we go. The deer know something's up. They're literally just trying to figure out what my angle is. So the buck is the most dangerous out of all of them, and really with very little effort I was able to get him separated and out of the pen. Okay, so just like that, I caught a deer that I've been trying to catch since I got her about 5 months ago. And she's pregnant, so I don't want her getting too worked up, so I think I'm just going to let her out. This proves the point. This proves that the pin works. It was way less crazy than the last time that I had to do this. But she's not hurt, and that's what matters to me. The idea is I can move the panels in closer until I'm kind of treating it like a squeeze chute, and I could probably reach over and put her ear tags on and be done with it. But I don't think I want to do that today. I want them to kind of get used to this. I still have a few days before the veterinarian's going to show up, so I think I'm just going to leave the gates open and let them get used to this. But I think we got this figured out. So we will find out in a few days if the new trap is effective. So. Not this way. And there she goes. All right. They seem to be hypersensitive to change. They're real curious. I've given them enough grain today that they're not going to go back in that pen without. See, they know something's going on. I'm going to try and do this in a way where they just don't have a chance to get excited over it. And when they get excited is usually when bad stuff happens. They get hurt, things like that. So I'm trying to keep all that from happening. So in next week's video, you'll get to see the update on how this goes. So.